Batman Dark Patterns issue 6. Dan Waters writing with Hayden Sherman on the art. So wrapping up this Scarface trio of issues, we have the payoffs here. We get a little bit. Batman basically figures out the backstory to this woman who's become the new Scarface. Because he ran into Wesker at the end of last issue, and he kind of puts two and two together with him there. So we also find out the police officer that she killed does end up surviving. She actually is alive. She wakes up gasping for breath. She can't really talk very well, but yeah. So it's the whole thing. Interestingly, the two henchmen that come in with the masks, and she's like, "Hey, get rid of the bodies." They think, "Oh, is there any point in doing this now?" Because like they thought the husband was the main guy doing everything, and they just never even consider that she's the one that's behind it all. But yeah, so we get more of the voice playing, this idea of Scarface's voice coming through the vents, even though she's like sitting right there. Just really fun, creepy stuff. Wesker takes Batman up to this sort of like creepy basement or attic style area. That Wesker, he grew up here, so this is where he'd hide as a kid. It's where he learned to do a lot of his stuff. So
the space between the walls, right? So Batman can look in and see into certain apartments, but
yes,
on that page, we looked down and I almost got vertigo from a comic book page, just because the way that Sherman draws it as it's going down, it feels like it's endless, and like you're at the top of this chasm. So like really good stuff here.
It's like it's not it's a spiral staircase, but not in like a circular way. It's like a square spiral staircase. So there's that middle part where you can just see down and just see lots and lots of more staircases. It looks quite trippy in that sense. So super interesting. And then you have just the analysis of the crime scene. Batman goes to where the cop had been stabbed and is telling Gordon, "Oh, there's pools of blood here, but it's been scrubbed. It's hard to tell. There's a good chance she's not alive anymore based on this blood, but we'll hold out hope." Also, Wesker's tongue is in the fridge. Well, this is actually what lets Batman piece together that it's someone that she did this to him, but she's kept the tongue safe in the fridge so it can be put back on. So she clearly still cares about him. And basically Wesker taught her how to do everything. She's like, "Hey, you're in this crappy marriage. There's a lot of stuff about how the apartment is clearly, it belonged to her, but this guy moved in and kind of took over and became abusive, and she became kind of this shell of herself." And then Wesker's like, "Hey, I know what can get you through this. Can I teach you about how to project your voice and trust in Scarface?" This idea of projecting like a stronger persona that can kind of see you through and be this stronger, violent thing.
The Cult of Scarface is a story I would 100% read. Like that whole, can I interest you in hearing about, your new savior Scarface, and it's a ventriloquism cult. That just tickles my funny bone.
Yeah, and obviously they get a taste that she's got some of this in her, because at one point, the Scarface voice says, "Oh, you guys aren't going to betray me. No one's given up my body. We're not leaving." And then one of the guys yells out, "Or was Scarface? That guy's dead. So how could you possibly threaten us? You're just a voice." And she just lunges at him and flies off the handle.
He's real. Like you're like, "Oh man, okay."
He's really me, damn it.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah. So yeah, there's a lot of good character building when Batman goes into the apartment though of this woman and her now dead husband or boyfriend, because this is where he's like, "Oh, okay, clearly this was hers. It's in her name, but he's grown in and he became abusive. He didn't respect her because it's not decorated like a happy couple or a happy woman would decorate. It's clearly something that's been transformed by an asshole who doesn't care about how much of a mess he makes," and just stuff like that. It's a really cool page, emphasizing all the empty bottles of beer and stuff like that.
Yeah, and just the way that that's laid out with the panel in the bottom right ends with the "you knew Scarface would protect her," right? So there is like this thing that Wesker was trying to help. Just like this concept of teaching her confidence, but through the voice of a homicidal gangster. Like it's a really cool concept, really. And then again, it shows that he does, Wesker isn't all Scarface, right? Like
Yeah.
he was trying to help here.
He was
you
trying to
know?
help someone that he thought was sympathetic and needed help. Like there
Yep.
was like a genuine
Mhm.
element to it, even though obviously it's turned her
Yeah.
into kind of a psychopath.
Yeah.
So
You let Scarface in. Scarface don't let go easy. You know?
yeah. So it's a whole thing. There's a really creepy bit actually where they show like so the Scarface the doll shows up at the apartment
Uh-huh.
and the boyfriend just throws it out like it's nothing. So to try and convince him that Scarface is real, Wesker's hiding under the couch, and it's a really creepy panel. And then he sneaks out the back of the couch and gets up and strangles this guy from the back until he like passes out. The idea being that when he wakes up and he sees the Scarface doll sitting in front of him, he'll think it's Scarface did it. So this is what gets him to then try and convince the rest of the tenants that, oh, this doll's like, supernatural. It's like it's giving his orders. Listen to it.
Yeah. It kind of was like reminiscent of like Annabelle or Chucky when they're just sitting at the door. And you're like, who the hell put this here? And then they end up in the house anyways. But with this place, it's actually Wesker.
Yeah.
Right? There's a reason
and
for here. But yeah, him under the couch and then the panel underneath where he's sliding out. You're just like, oh, this is the creepiest Wesker's ever been.
Yeah, it's really good. It's really good stuff. The art is fantastic there. And then, this idea that she keeps doing the voice, around her boyfriend. But she does cut out Wesker's tongue because Wesker at a certain point says, this is going too far. Maybe we should just leave. And because that's now trying to convince her to leave her apartment, which is the one thing she's determined to keep, she retaliated. Yep. So, anyway, so back to the present day stuff. She starts a fire. She's like, hey, well, if I can't keep my apartment, then all of this is going. So the entire tower ends up in fire. They make a point of saying, oh, because of this old building design, it just spreads fire too quick. It goes up like a chimney. And Batman goes looking for people to save. Civilians, he's got like heat vision goggles on. And luckily, he does encounter the policewoman who was stabbed and is like struggling to like find her way through things. The interesting part, though, is that after he gets her out and he's talking to Gordon about it, he says that she claims that she could hear her partner's voice guide her through the fire. And they're like, oh, that's probably just hallucinations from the carbon monoxide, like, right? Yeah. Like, yeah, probably. But it's just kind of leaving open this idea that there is something to like hearing voices in this building that's kind of cool.
Yeah, just leave it with a little twinge of supernatural, right?
Just a little,
and like there was something.
Yeah, a little open possibility. Yeah. That's all.
Yeah, there's something about this building that spoke to people, whether it was Officer Price or Wesker or the lady.
Because after all, and as pointed out, Wesker grew up here. Who's to say he didn't develop his Scarface like abilities or ideas from this building? Who's to say?
And so it just ends, and they're looking up, and there's like in the plume of smoke, there's a Scarface image.
Yes, it's Wesker.
And it's just like, oh.
Yeah, Wesker's looking up at it. Yeah. Yeah, that looks good.
Oof, really? So good.
It adds a lot of aura to Scarface that I don't think he had before. It feels a bit more like a bigger deal after this in some ways.
Yeah, and again, this has happened with like Clayface and with Croc and all these other characters that tend to be more on the B list of the rogues, right? For Batman. So I like when we get these little tweaks that make them stand out a little bit, and we can go from there. And like Dan Waters has been doing, like we had the last guy, what was he, the Impaled Man or whatever he was, and that was all brand new and really cool. And now he's come and done that kind of, let's make Scarface a little bit creepier, and let's dig into Wesker a bit and develop his character. So,
he's not been a big part of this arc, but the creepy coroner's still here at the end, so he's still a factor. Just to keep that going.
I like that Batman standing in the corner because he knows he smells like formaldehyde, because that dude's huffing that stuff.
Yeah. And as they're having this conversation about the voices that the cop lady said she heard, they're like, yeah, that's all it was. That's all it could have been, was just the monoxide inhalation. And you get that final panel, which is looking at the building. Now the fire's out, but there's still smoke coming from it. And there's just one light on in that one apartment, which is presumably where that woman and her husband lived. And it's just a little, like, just eerie little moment of like, is there still something there? Is there still something there that led to all this?
Well, yeah, because she was never found. They never found her body, so she set the fire. And they presumed it perished, but they never found her. So, like, is there another Scarface running around now? Who knows? And we close this case book, and now we get to go into, what did I call it? Pareidolia? But you know what pareidolia is, Pete?
I can't say I do. What's a pareidolia?
So that is the process of humans seeing faces and things that aren't faces. Right? So you look at a tree, and the way that the knots go together and you see a face. And it evolved from us knowing, being able to scan things for danger. So right, if there was another group of people that might be dangerous, it's good for us to be able to realize that. But yeah, so like when you look at things and you see a face that's out there, it's called pareidolia.
That is interesting because I feel like Dan Waters could do some creepy stuff with that. So I'm certainly not mad at the suggestion. So cool.
No. So yeah. So definitely, and I know the person that asked isn't listening yet because they're not probably caught up, but Dark Patterns, definitely a book that everybody should be reading. Like, stop sleeping on this one. So let's get on it.
Yep, excellent stuff. So that is Batman Dark Patterns. What are you giving it?
I'm giving this a 9.
I agree. It's fantastic. It's been showing how to do it recently. So, yep, 9 out of 10.